The Dynasty's all over the place. But the thing is, the fact that it's a compilation excuses that. But if we were looking at this as just a Jay Z solo album, this album is not good. I hate to say it's not good. It has great moments. We talk about Volume One like it's scattered. This is even more scattered than that.
without the same level of brilliant moments.
Oh
So
yeah,
the intro,
lyrically he's not that great on the Dynasty lyrically.
it's not that good at all. The outside,
No,
Mike, the intro, this can't be life, and 1-900 hustler. Next,
he's not even the standout on This Can't Be Life. He's not the standout on 1900 Hustle. The intro is the standout moment of the Dynasty for Jay Z. Now I'll give it to me. Obviously, that's a hit record, and I think that's one of his records that has lasted a long time. But a lot of that stuff on that album sounds super dated. I mean, you would even forget that he had a single with R. Kelly called "Not Guilty." Like these are forgettable songs.
it's very problematic looking back on it now.
It's crazy. And then he got that song where he's talking about his man's daughter. I'm not daughter. I'm sorry. His man's sister that he fell in love with. He's taking her to college and all this stuff. Weird songs. Like the Dynasty's not a good album. And the fact that it actually got 4.5 mics when it dropped, I feel like they were rating it on well, they rated it because it was Jay Z, you know,
I mean, they give
and
him,
like when
we give,
Eminem
we give
said,
Mike, we give Mike like 100 G's for that, for that extra mic, 100 G's for that extra mic.
what Eminem say, 4.5 or 5 means you Biggie, Jigga, Nas, or Benzino. That's the album he was talking about because Dynasty did not deserve 4.5 mics, and I'm just sitting here thinking like, how are
Mike,
they rating this?
neither did I am.
No,
What
it
are you
did not.
doing?
You're right.
What are you
No, it
doing?
did.
What are you
It did.
doing? What are you listening to?
You know,
Nas's mic is
honestly,
good enough to give you 4.5 mics for a
Beanie
whole
Siegel.
album. Like,
I think Beanie Siegel was the highlight of that album too. People are saying "Me, You, Him, Her" was the best song on the Dynasty. I'm not mad at that, but Jay is
no,
on
that's
there
some this,
talking
that, and the other.
about
Is what that was. That was some this, that, and the other. That's what that
the
was.
beat was dope, but
Hey
Jay on
man,
there talking about some knock the man off your polo sweater. What did he say on there? It was bad bars, man. Um,
let's see
ah,
what
like what's his best verse on that album?
the intro.
Okay, if we're not counting that, because the intro
Good.
is a standout. Yes.
I mean, Mike, no, his verse on 1-900 Hustler is pretty strong. Here's a couple of suggestions of how you could finesse it. You find a dude in town, you send them a short message. Hey, I'm new in town. I don't know my way around, but I got some soft white that should have come back brown. I get that butter all night because most niggas don't know a brick from a bike. They stay buying hard white. If
Yeah.
you free tomorrow night, we can meet and discuss price. FYI,
I
I
never
never
been
been
robbed
robbed
in
in
my
my
life.
life. Yeah,
Nah, that's a good verse.
yeah,
That's a
that's
good verse.
Jay.
Yeah, that's Jay.
That's the only real Jay verse on the album.
Well,
Like it's
that in
like
the intro, and like I said, "Give It to Me's dope.
okay.
I liked his flow on "Change the Game," but just sonically, like production wise, that album was all over the place, man. Leo Manning says the Dynasty is 3.5 mic album. I agree with that.
I said, what did I say, Mike? Must have paid 100 G's for that extra money.
So yeah, man, it was weird listening to that, and it made me think we were leaving out something about Just Blaze because I want to talk about this Just Blaze thing too because I don't think we talked about Jay Z's response. And so I know Just said I was listening to a Just Blaze mix on Abstract Radio, and he said that, and actually this is one of my favorite songs on the Dynasty too. Damn, what's the name of that song? Stick to the Script.
Ugh,
That's
terrible.
it. I like Stick to the Script. That was the first beat he ever made for Jay. And so I'm sitting here thinking about when Kanye said that Just Blaze, copied him and this and that. And I'm like, okay, well, that wasn't a soul sample on Stick to the Script. But would you qualify the Dynasty intro? Because Just Blaze made that too. Would you qualify that as like a soul sample? Or or does 1900 Hustle fit that?
No, soulful. Like more soulful than soul sampled, I feel like.
Have you heard the song that the Dynasty comes from?
Mm-mm.
Nah, man. It's very fast. It's almost like it's kind of like It's like one of those '80s, up tempo records, man. I wish I could play it. I don't want any copyright strikes or anything like that, but go out, go listen to it. And I don't know if it qualifies as a soul sample, like if we're talking about, something like Heart of the City, where it's Bobby Blue Bland, and you know what I
Where
mean? Like it's a little
where it's just
different.
clear and you hear it, right?
Yeah, it's like it has a soulfulness to it. So I don't know, but I will say technique wise, Just Blaze could lean on the intro and say, "Well, I sped up a sample, on the Dynasty album." But again, we don't know what song came first, that or "This Can't Be Life" either.
And you don't know how long Ye had those beats in the can when he pulled up to the blueprint too. You don't
Exactly.
know, right? So
Lex P
there's a
says
lot
a
of
funk sample. Yes, he's right. I would give it a funk sample. That's what the Dynasty intro was.
okay, okay, funk sample. It had. That's why I said it's like, well, it had a soulful feel to it, but it's like, yeah, I don't, yeah, it's a
Yet
funk.
Lex P brings up another good example. He said the takeover wasn't a soul sample. So yeah,
It's
I
not,
would
that's
kind
the
of
Doors, Mike. That's
that's the
Jim
doors.
Morrison.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I would technique wise say that the intro for the Dynasty is more in line with the takeovers technique
I
from the
mean,
Doors. 5 to
all of
1.
it. I mean, Mike, all of it really RZA shit if you ask me. But okay, go
No, I feel
ahead.
you, and obviously, you know what I'm saying, they ain't the first to do anything, but as far as taking it into that new era, because we
Yeah,
gotta admit, things got very cartoonish in the late 2000s. I mean, sorry, the early
you mean
2000s, late
production wise,
90s. Yeah, production wise, on a
it got very
mainstream level.
glitzy. Yeah,
Yeah,
very glitzy.
and
Yeah.
again, the Dynasty is a shining example of that, where it's
Mhm.
like it's a lot of that cartoony computer Rockweiler type of shit. I was listening to Star the other day, and he was talking about this subject, and he was talking about when he was at Hot 97 and ran into, I guess, not ran into Just Blaze, but was hearing about Just Blaze. He was like, I felt like his stuff sounded like Rockweiler. And that's an interesting assessment because when you think about Rock the Mic and the stuff that doesn't involve soul samples with Just Blaze, it does give you a Rockweiler or what's his name that made, or a Rick Rock type of feel.
I'll say more Rick Rock. I
Yeah,
get the Rick Rock thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jay got on
Rick Rock around during the Dynasty? Didn't Rick Rock do a track on the Dynasty,
he
Mike?
did a lot on the Dynasty. He did change the
Right.
game. Yeah,
Right. Right.
exactly.
So,
No. Rick
so,
Rock did
so
a
that,
lot on the
that makes
Dynasty.
more sense to me because that's more direct influence from somebody that's already in the game making beats for
Around you.
heavyweights, huh? Around you,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Now
Jay
I
Z
hear
got on
Rick
a
Rock.
Clubhouse.
I can hear you, Rick Rock, when you take the soul samples out for certain. Yeah.
Jay Z was on Clubhouse talking about the new film that he's involved with, The Harder They Fall, and this was like
Right.
last week. And I know we didn't talk about this last Friday. I want to say it was like last Thursday or something. And he was asked about the Kanye West interview, and he basically said the part that he wanted to speak on was him talking about not Jay Z, Just Blaze copied him, him meaning Kanye West, and he
Mm-hmm.
was saying that there was a mission for the blueprint, and the mission was soul samples, and so nobody copied anybody; they just followed the mission. And I found that interesting because I'm like, if the whole initiative was soul samples on the record, how did Ola Ovito and Jigga Jigga That Nigga Jigga and Renegade make the album?
Mike, what did uh what did Ye say about Obama? I like him, but he worked for them people. That's that's Jay. Jay sound like Obama right now. Like, yeah, I like him still, but he worked for them people. That's one of them for the people answers. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's bullshit. But
Well, the third producer. Well, I don't want to say the third producer, but one of the producers on the Blueprint, Bink, he made 3 tracks on there. He posted the part that Kanye was talking about. Just Blaze copying, and he said, "I'm gonna leave this here. Now call him bitter for telling the truth. And yes, to the guy in the background, I was super happy to hear this. Good morning. Ye and I crafted that album, period. Ye brought his sound and I brought mine." So
I mean,
confirming to an extent that yes,
yeah.
Just Blaze did indeed copy,
I mean,
Kanye
Mike,
West.
Bink's the author of my favorite track on the Blueprint, which is actually All I Need, which I actually thought was a Kanye beat just from how it sounded. I just assumed over the course of time that it was Ye because I ain't looked at the notes in so long. Like, I ain't pulled out my Blueprint notes in a long time,
Yeah.
you know?
I think Bink made my favorite song on the Dynasty, and they were using Bink for a reason. Like he had a flavor that he brought, but
Bink's
I'm not
dope. I
buying
like Bink.
that
You always
whole
like Bink. Yeah.
what's that?
Bink's
Yeah, I'm not buying that whole notion that there was a mission for the Blueprint to be soulful. I think that kind of just happened, and it comes
I think he,
across like you
I think,
said that Kanye kind of had these tracks on deck, and they were
right.
already made. It's been highly documented because he
This is what I
gave.
mean, though. Like,
Yeah, go ahead.
sometimes things happen organically. I think Jay was in a place where he was on top. A lot of people were coming at him, and for the first time since really his first two albums, he actually had something to say, like really something to say. And that's not to say that Jay don't be saying stuff, but it's like if you go listen to Volume Two and Volume Three, he's not really saying anything.
Volume
He's
three in
saying
the Dynasty, I think, is him at his most uninspired moments. At least Volume two, you got a week ago. You got
right,
Hard Knock
right
Life.
about
He
his
had
hard.
something to say there, but and it's all
What I
right.
mean is
But
like
yeah,
even what
Volume
he's
three
saying
in
there is
Dynasty,
like
yeah,
really outside of a week ago, he's not saying much on Volume Two either. But I feel what you're saying.
yeah,
But I say that to say is that that's something that I feel like the soul samples came into play more because it played well when he started recording those first couple of songs with what his content was because this was somebody that was approaching 30 years old on top of the game. You know what I mean? It felt like it came together with what he was talking about. And that's where I think maybe it became a focal point where it's like, no, these soul samples are kind of fitting the theme for what I'm going through right now, what I have to express. Now let's roll with more of these. And that's when guys start breaking out their database. And so really when something like that happens, it's like it maybe seems more like Bink and Kanye already had shit that fit that mold on deck when Jay decided that was the direction he wanted to go. Well, just didn't have that, so he had to go do what? Create that.
timeline wise, and again, I don't know. I don't have any insights over there.
Me
But
neither.
timeline wise, I'm more inclined to believe Kanye's side of it. It makes a little bit of sense, a little bit more sense when we talk about. I mean, we've heard his story about how Heart of the City was made while he was, moving into his first apartment with his mom, or whatever, and that was supposed to be for DMX, and then it was supposed to go to Beanie Siegel, and it went through channels, so it's like clearly he wasn't in baseline making that for the Blueprint, right? So,
Mike,
and
even
we
when you
know
hear
that
stuff like
Never
that,
Change was also for a group that was in Chicago. I forget their names. They even
mhm,
ran up on him for, selling Jay-Z the beat. So these tracks had been around.
right, he had been done. And think
So,
about where Ye is coming from at the time. He's not Ye yet. This is Kanye West we're talking about. He comes from Chi-Town. That's a big blues and soul town.
right.
And so when you start thinking about even the roots from where Kanye comes from, it's just like, no, it makes Ye's story make more sense.
Uh,
But also too, and this is what I mean. And so we got to be careful about this. There's not necessarily anything wrong with what Just did per se, though. He did what he needed to do to get placements on the blueprint, and his contributions are noteworthy, Mike. You don't know?
yeah. I mean, Song
You
Cry.
don't know anybody. You don't know anybody. So it's like, no, it's like Kanye might be the originator and the author of the style, but the album still got put together mostly by three producers, and it just sounds like the third producer had to come and get on the level that the other two were on. And he was also the one with the least amount of placements at the time. That just kind of makes more sense.
I'm more inclined to believe, speaking of Girls, 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 which Just Blaze ultimately made, I'm more inclined to believe that the Girls, Girls, Girls remix might have been the original, and the one
I
that
believe
Just
that.
Blaze was able to, I guess, quote unquote, recreate or whatever, ended up being the one for the album.
No, I agree with you with that because when you hear Jay on that record, it sounds more like Jay, if that makes sense. When you listen to the records side by side, it sounds like the version that's at the end of the album got recorded before. It's like, no,
Right.
let me slow this delivery down.
Cause
Give me something more slow.
it's not
Let me
even a
flip it and make it
theme
a little
with
bit
it.
more right.
Yeah.
Because part two is a little more misogynistic too.
And I think
You
if part two would have actually carried on that original theme and took that to the next level, then it would be more believable of it being an actual part two. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the other thing I was gonna say though, I would love to see like a timeline, and I mean, I guess I'm a hip hop nerd. I love this kind of stuff. I wish we would know what songs were recorded in what order for that album specifically. Especially
It's nine
now since
songs.
Kanye brings up this interesting dialogue. Like I want to know like what song was recorded first.
Oh, hold on, so Mike. So Mike, when you say that, here's what we do know. So we need to run to the notes right quick. It was 9 tracks in 2 days.
Yeah, that makes it even more interesting.
Oh, hold on. So Bink did 3. How many did Ye do?
Ye did three, I believe. He did Heart of the City. He did Takeover. He did Never Change.
He did more than 3, didn't
He did Izzo. He did four.
he? He did 4. So he did 9 songs in 2 days. So what? And Bink did 3, right?
Bink did three. Hold on, I'm about to look up the album now. I don't want to miss anything. We be on live, you know what I'm saying, YouTube, so sometimes we gloss over things. Yeah, he did Takeover, he did Izzo, he did Heart of the City, he did Never Change, and if you want to count Girls, Girls, Girls 2, he did 5. But yeah, he did 4 that made the album. The original
Sound
cut album.
right. So when you're saying 9 songs in 2 days, you're telling me Ye did 5 tracks and Bink did 3. So what are the chances that those were the songs?
Who did Lyrical Exercise? Do you know off top?
It's my second favorite song on there. I don't know off top. I love that record though.
Let me see who did Lyrical Exercise. Anybody in the chat know off top who did
That
Lyrical
should have been
Exercise?
part of the album to me, actually, Mike.
You think so? I
I
understand
would.
why it wasn't.
I'm going to tell you exactly how I feel. I feel like Lyrical Exercise could have been placed right after the Rulers back and before the Takeover.
Nah. Maybe I'm used to it being where Just Blaze did that. So Just Blaze did Breathe Easy. He did Song Cry. He did You Don't Know, and he did Girls, Girls, Girls. You know what I think was the first song on this album recorded?
What?
I think it was Jigga Jigga That Nigga Jigga. Sounds like the Dynasty J on there. Even though, you know, this was like months after the Dynasty, obviously. But it sounds like a song that he kind of recorded in a rhythm of like the previous album, but he didn't want to cut it because he wasn't sure of how well received this other stuff that he was doing was going to be. It's kind of a safety net record.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that one might have been first. I have no idea what Ola Ovito was recorded, but I have to feel like those two probably were the first ones recorded because based on what he said in this Clubhouse,
Those,
if you started on this soulful theme, I don't see how you deviate from that and record Jigga Jigga That Nigga Jigga and Ola Ovito. You know what I mean?
right. That's one of those. Those are what I like to call coming off the tour bus tracks.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I believe those two were probably recorded first. Just guessing, I'm thinking Ola Ovito was second and Jigga That Nigga Jigga was first. But after that, it's probably one of those Kanye songs that was first. I would dare to say it could be Heart of the City. Or Takeover. Was it Takeover first, I wonder? Because that verse was already on Summer Jam. What's the timeline on that?
Might have been the Takeover, Mike.
Yeah, it might have been. The Takeover might have been the first of those batches that were recorded. But I'm very inclined to believe that the Just Blaze stuff was done last. And, you know, someone in the chat said that Just Blaze had stronger production work than Kanye on the Blueprint. And I agree with that.
I agree with that.
But if you're coming behind somebody, it's a little easier to do that, too.
Right, when the road's already been kind of paved for you and it's not like dirt and rocks and gravel anymore and there's like,
Right.
asphalt down, it's a little smoother to roll on it. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. I think All I Need and The Ruler's Back. I think The Ruler's Back could have been very early, too.
Yeah.
And I
sounds
might
like
be
it could
saying that
early,
just
too.
because it's the intro, but, you know.
Takeover was definitely early, Mike, because the Nas part wasn't on there on the original part. Remember, it was originally a 3-verse song directed at Prodigy specifically, and
Mm-hmm.
he went back after Summer Jam and inserted that Nas stuff.
Well, it's an interesting thing too because it's like I feel like Jay's the kind of MC, especially the way he was recording then, when he doesn't write anything down, he's not gonna have a verse without it having a beat. So when he did it, it had a beat. Cause he went out there and just did the acapella at Summer Jam, right? I think so. I don't think the beat was there.
No, there was something there, I
The
think.
beat
I
was
don't
there? Okay. Well, that might have been first.
think. Yeah. Because remember, it was a whole scene, Mike. The whole Prodigy and the ballerina outfit from his I think it was his aunt ran a dance studio,
Yeah.
and he used to be enrolled in the dance studio. The whole picture came up, and at the end, he was like, "Ask Nas, he don't want it with Ho, no." And that's when people went crazy, like, "Oh, he's setting it off for real, for real." Yeah,
Imagine that. Kanye's first major placement like that on,
dissing
this
your favorite
run.
rapper of all time.